So today, we're going to dive into the official account of one Reginald Pym, an adventurer whose journey took him way, way beyond the edge of civilized space and deep into the heart of the unknown.
Okay, so to really get what's going on, you have to understand the universe they're in. Humanity had this incredible golden age, right? Colonizing the galaxy. But it all came crashing down in a massive civil war a couple thousand years ago. Now, a new empire is finally rising from the ashes, and people are starting to look to the stars again. This is the world our story is born into, an age of rediscovery, but also immense danger. But here's the thing. For all this epic sci-fi backdrop, this story is actually super personal. At its core, it's about this incredibly intense bond between our narrator, Reginald Pym, and his best friend, the charismatic Oliver Barnard. And this one quote, it tells you everything you need to know about what kicks this whole crazy adventure off.
And that adventure really begins right here, with a wild, reckless decision to stow away on a ship called the Grampus, a deep space mission that is going to change absolutely everything.
So let's meet our guys. On one hand, you have Reginald. He's the rich kid, set to inherit a fortune. But he is completely captivated by Oliver, the son of a famous starship commander. Oliver's got the real-world experience, the charm, the wild stories. He's everything Reginald wants to be. It's this hero worship that really drives the whole story forward.
And then, bam, the opportunity of a lifetime just drops into their laps. This old ship, the starbound Grampus, is being sent on this unbelievably ambitious 5-year mission to map the unknown. And get this, not only is it captained by Oliver's dad, but Oliver himself gets assigned as second officer. For these two guys dreaming of adventure, this is it. This is everything. Of course, there's a catch, right? Reginald's family completely forbids him from going. So what does he do? Fueled by this desperate need to follow Oliver, he agrees to a frankly insane plan. He's going to be a stowaway, just hide out in the cargo hold until they're so far out in space that turning around is no longer an option.
So imagine this. It's days into the voyage. Reginald is cramped in some dark maintenance shaft, and he finds this note, a cryptic warning. And with just these few words, the whole feel of the story changes. This is where the fun adventure story just stops, and something much, much darker begins. Something is terribly wrong on this ship.
And that something wrong turns out to be a full-blown mutiny. The mission is thrown into total chaos and violence as the crew turns on itself. It happens fast. The first mate, a guy named Struthers, leads this swift, brutal takeover. He and his men seize the bridge. They lock up anyone loyal to the captain, and they grab Oliver. Their plan? Forget the mission. They're going to turn the Grampus into a pirate ship and start raiding settlements. And just to show you how ruthless these guys are, they take the captain, Oliver's father, and the rest of the loyal crew, and they just cast them adrift in an escape pod. Their fate is completely unknown, which, as you can imagine, gives Oliver a powerful, burning reason to want revenge. But in all this chaos, a really interesting character shows up, a crewman named Dirk Peters. This guy is a total enigma. He's built like a tank, didn't join the mutiny, but didn't fight it either. Yet, for some reason, he keeps stepping in to protect Oliver. His motives are a total mystery, but he's a potential and very capable ally. Oliver, seeing his chance, he makes his move. He makes this desperate appeal to Peters, telling him he knows where they can get weapons and where to find another ally. And who's that other man? You guessed it, our stowaway, Reginald, still hiding in the guts of the ship. And just like that, a very uneasy alliance is born. So now, the plan has to change. It's not about hiding anymore. Now it's about launching a desperate, maybe impossible gambit to fight back and retake the ship. Okay, so their plan, it's kind of nuts, but it's also brilliant. A massive hyperspace storm rolls in, giving them the perfect cover. They're going to use it to play on Struthers' own guilty conscience. See, Reginald is going to disguise himself as the ghost of a crewman that Struthers recently poisoned. The idea is to use psychological warfare to freak him out and create an opening. But even Reginald himself knew how thin this was. He calls it a poorly conceived bit of theater. This quote really hits home just how desperate they are. This insane theatrical gamble, it's literally the only shot they have. And you know what? It actually works. It's insane, but it works. The sight of this ghost completely terrifies the superstitious and already drunk Struthers. In the chaos that erupts, our three heroes manage to fight their way through, overpower the mutineers, and retake the command deck. It's a moment of pure, unbelievable triumph.
But you knew there was a but coming, right? That amazing victory is tragically short-lived, because the very thing that helped them win is about to become their undoing.
Well, that storm that gave them the perfect cover, it gets worse. A lot worse. It intensifies and just rips the starbound Grampus to pieces. So yeah, they have control of the ship, but the ship is now a shattered wreck, crippled and drifting helplessly in the void.
The only reason they're not instantly dead is this little piece of tech called the ELS, or Emergency Life Support System. Think of it like a giant, invisible bubble of atmosphere and heat around the wreckage. It's keeping them alive, but they are completely trapped.
And then, just when it seems like it's all over, they see it. Another ship. On their sensors. Rescue! Can you even imagine the relief? After the mutiny, the fight, the shipwreck, it looks like their ordeal is finally over. But that hope just shatters, because as the ship drifts closer, they realize the entire crew is dead. Their bodies are just floating grotesquely inside. It's not a rescue ship, it's a ghost ship, a floating tomb. And that moment of salvation turns into a horrifying preview of their own likely fate.
And this is where things get really dark psychologically. Reginald has this horrifyingly vivid nightmare where the survivors decide one of them has to be sacrificed so the others can eat. He dreams of them drawing lots, the ultimate taboo of survival. It just goes to show how close they are to the absolute edge of sanity.
Pulled back from that nightmare, they make one last desperate search. They use a plasma cutter to breach a sealed cargo hold. And what they find is just so random, it has to be a miracle. 4 jars of olives, a single bottle of wine, and, unbelievably, a live tortoise. It isn't much, but it's enough to keep them from starvation and from the terrible choice in the dream.
And so, that's where the account leaves us. They've survived a mutiny, a shipwreck, and the brink of starvation. They've faced down horrors both human and cosmic, but they are still adrift in an endless, uncaring void. So the ultimate question remains, after everything they've been through, what on earth comes next?